You know how we love looking at stats? James Maddison has created 137 chances since the start of last season. 22 more than any other player in the Premier League. 22 more than any other player. Is it inevitable when you got a player who's doing that and is doing it for 2 consecutive seasons that some very big clubs are going to be interested in him?
It's the nature of the game. Of course, you're doing well, there'll always be speculation around you, and James and 1 or 2 other boys, they understand that. So, but long may it continue, because he's been absolutely brilliant. Started the season very, very well, very efficient, very productive, and it's getting better. So yeah, it's sometimes what happens whenever you're doing so well, and when you're doing consistently well. So he's a very bright young player, and got a big future.
A lot of players we can put in that category, I think, from your squad. Maddison, Tielemans, and Ndidi, Chilwell, the list goes on. What would it take for this club to sell one of those in January? One of your really key players, one of your big players?
There'll be no one leaving in January.
Categorically?
Categorically, yeah.
And you've had that from on high?
No. No, but I'm sure.
Do you want to check with them first, or?
Yeah, I'm sure if we speak, then that will be the case as well.
That's important, though, isn't it? I mean, that's an important message to give out there that you've just said, because your young players have been linked with a lot of clubs, and that's a pretty categorical statement from you.
Yeah, listen, it's something. Obviously, I speak regular with John and Top, so but I haven't spoken to them today on that. But no, it's very clear we want to keep this squad together. A very exciting team with a lot of growth and development in it. So yeah, we want to ensure that they stay around and beyond January. I
know you've got ideas for bringing players in potentially in January or in the summer. Is this the best time to strengthen, when you're absolutely flying in the league, 8 straight wins, second in the table, an exciting place to be? The manager's just signed a new contract. Is this the time to strengthen the squad, as far as you're concerned? Strengthen when you're strong, almost.
Ideally, but it's on availability as well. Like you say, we've got a top squad, and we want to continue to improve. That's very, very important. But there also has to be the availability of player, and one that's affordable for us. So the scouts do a great job here. They'll have a list ready for us, and if we can do that, then we'll look to strengthen for sure.
8 straight wins, a new club record in the top flight. How long can that continue? What's your message to the players at the moment? Is it, we want to keep this going as long as we can? Is it taking the pressure off a little bit and saying, look, don't worry about those records because you are going to lose a game at some stage? I don't know. What? Tell me.
Just win our next game. That's always been our mantra. Just never look too far ahead. I think I've said all along that it's very difficult to forecast in football. All you can do is ever bring your best game into the next game. And we'll need that against Norwich. Norwich are, of course, sitting in the end of the table they wouldn't want to be, but they've got some very talented young players. They've had some, very good results against Manchester City and Everton this season. So they've shown that they can win. So we have to prepare for them and a tough game. But it's just focus on the next game. That's always the key. And when you do that, you never get too carried away.
We were out watching training today, and there were a few players that weren't out there. I don't blame them. It was horrible. You weren't out there yourself, actually. Was that because of the weather? Yeah,
I've sort of been ill this week. Chest infection, so that's okay. We had a few boys was inside, just all fit and fine for Saturday. So, but yeah, everyone's.
No problem. Nobody's struggling.
No.
Good man. Thanks, Brendan.
Hi, Brendan. It's the first time James Maddison will face his former club. He obviously had a loan spell up in Scotland, which you might have seen with Aberdeen. The sort of progression that he's made since arriving here. He was obviously extremely talented at Norwich and loved playing there, but he seems to have gone up another level, hasn't he?
Yeah, he had a great spell at Norwich, and I understand that they had to sell him as well in terms of the club was needing the money, and but he's come to here and been absolutely brilliant. It's a great credit to the staff, the scouting staff, and who brought him in, and and he's continued to flourish here. So now he's a hugely talented young player who's also very hungry to be better. I think that's what's key. People maybe not see that with James, but he's consistently very good. He's a real hunger for the game, and I also know he loved his time at Norwich as well. When I spoke to him, he enjoyed playing for Daniel and the team there, and like I say, he's come here and continued to flourish. So it'll be a good game for him at the weekend, and I'm sure he'll want to do well.
We heard the scenes of celebration in the dressing room at Villa Park last week. Jamie Vardy said there was skips being banged around and all sorts. I mean, when you've instilled this sort of winning mentality in this club, how much do you like to sort of savour what was a very special achievement and then click the focus into the next game? At what kind of stage of the day, the night, the weekend do you then go, right, now we have to go again?
No, but we'd outstanding team performance, and of course, like you say, it's not every day in your life as a footballer you have the opportunity to go out and create history. So I said that to the players beforehand. So obviously when they come in, they were very, very happy, which was great, and then they were going to have a nice night together as a team. So yeah, it's something that you have to enjoy, but very quickly you come back round again and get focused onto your next game. So and that's been one of the real delights of this squad. They do know how to enjoy themselves at the right time, but also they're very focused on their work and improving. So this week is just really about narrowing in that focus to the game on Saturday.
And I certainly won't claim to be an expert, but you wanted your team to show tactical flexibility. So how pleased are you that they did that and some, really? Yeah,
I was delighted. It shows you the football intelligence that's in the squad. We used a different system last week. We used it in pre-season, had a look at some of the principles within it. We used it part way through the game against Tottenham. Other than that, we've not had to, I feel, use it. So, but the players were fantastic in terms of defensively how they were able to organise the game, and then with the ball we were very creative and bright and full of energy. So yeah, it's something that I said when I came in, that flexibility is important. How we play and the style will always remain the same, but systems can change, and it worked well for us.
And just finally from me, we're doing a bit of filming in the cryotherapy unit next week. James Maddison told us that he sometimes uses it on the day of a game to kind of freshen him up, get his feet moving even quicker. What do you see as the kind of benefits of it, and have you ever tried it yourself? Presumably not when you've had a chest infection.
No, not really. I think for some of the players use it, some don't, but there's lots of benefits for the players, especially in recovery. And I think Vards has it at home, doesn't he? He's something in his house. But yeah, I think for players, it's one of the big features now of the modern game, is that recovery aspect. Getting the muscles back to sort of fitness as quick as they possibly can, really, and this is one of the tools which they can use to do that.
On Norwich, over the course of the weekend, you mentioned the victories against Manchester City and Everton. I know Everton are struggling at the moment in the Premier League, but does that prove to you that your opponents are able to lift their game for big games, and with that in mind, does it make them a bit of a more dangerous opponent, as it were?
I always felt, Ian, this would be a difficult game. I think that when you're down there and you're fighting for those results, and if you're not quite on it, then you can come unstuck. So we'll be ready, in terms of mentally ready for the game, prepared. You have to work equally as hard, So just because they are where they are doesn't make it any easier for us. We have to fight, we have to run, we have to work very, very hard to get the result, because they've got some very good players that can score goals, players that can keep the ball, make it difficult for you. But our job, we're playing at home, and we need to bring that aggression that we always do into our game, and ensure that we can go and do likewise on Saturday.
One of those players is their front man Pukki, who's had to wait quite a while for his Premier League chance. 29, but is having a good season in the Premier League. That hunger that he has because of the journey that he's had to be in the Premier League. Are there similarities? I know Jamie Vardy's been in the Premier League a lot longer, but that kind of hungry Premier League striker that comes to it a bit late. Again, it's talking about hunger, I know, but is there a different dynamic when you're playing against that sort of player because of their passion to get there and prove and stay there almost?
Yeah, I think they're always the most dangerous players. When you have a player that has hunger and talent, then that's always tough for any opponent. So no, the Pukki's done fabulous since he's joined Norwich. You know, his goal scoring in the Championship, his movement, his touch, everything was first class. And then he's came in and done likewise at the next level up. Okay, maybe not scored as many goals as what he had in the Championship, but you can see in his movement, you know, he's a clever mover, how he receives the ball, good finisher when he gets the opportunities, and so he's definitely one we have to be aware of.
On your own striker, of course, we're all talking about Jamie Vardy's run in consecutive games, but he's also only 4 from joining the Premier League 100 club, which he'd be the first Leicester City player to do that. Do you think that may be helping him with his run as well? That I think he's 4 away. I think he's on 96 in the Premier League. Whether that desire to reach the 100 club could indeed keep this consecutive run going as well.
Well, I think for me, what I've loved about him is the hunger that he has in every single game. You know, and I think when he reaches 100, that hunger will continue. I just think that's a trait that he has. You know, it's what's got him to where he is, and it's what will continue to make him for the remainder of his career. He's a player that he doesn't let up in any game. Of course, there's a personal target there, and we all want him to get that, because joining the game so late to get 100 Premier League goals is a phenomenal achievement. So we all want him to get that. But I've got no doubt that after he gets his next 4 goals, beyond that, he'll still have that hunger to go and continue scoring.